Welcome back, listeners, to another captivating episode of Red Hunt, where I, Red, delve deep into the intricate world of relationships, sharing stories from the beloved Reddit community that will leave you wanting more. Husband gave me 5 kids to care for, and I'm overwhelmed. My husband and I have been married for nearly 3 years. He had a difficult childhood, being orphaned as a baby and never knowing his birth parents. Thankfully, he was adopted by a wealthy family and followed his adoptive father's wishes by joining the military. This experience has given him a strong desire to have a large family and provide support to troubled children, like he once was. We have had 2 pregnancies, resulting in twins, and now have 3 children to care for. Additionally, my husband has become the legal guardian of 2 teenage boys from troubled backgrounds. Taking care of everything at home has become overwhelming, despite our love for each other. While his adoptive family helps us, my own family has been absent from my life since before we had children. My days are consumed by household chores and family responsibilities, leaving no time for socializing or continuing my education. I feel trapped in a never-ending cycle of work, missing out on fulfilling experiences. I am grateful for the love and effort that has gone into building our family, unlike my birth family. However, I am feeling overwhelmed and unsure of how to discuss this with my husband without disappointing him or making things harder for him. I don't think I will ever get used to this level of work, which prevents me from enjoying simple pleasures like reading a book, having fun, or talking to friends. I feel suffocated. We have never hired a babysitter or housekeeper because my husband strongly believes in being self-sufficient. He dislikes accepting money from his adoptive family and is resistant to the idea of strangers caring for our home and children. He believes it is my role as his wife to handle these responsibilities, rather than outsourcing them. However, with the workload becoming too much for me, he may need to reconsider his stance. However, I am hesitant to bring this up to him. It sounds like you have a lot on your plate, and it's completely understandable that you're feeling overwhelmed. It's important to communicate with your husband about how you're feeling, even if it's difficult. Maybe you can come up with a solution together, like getting some help with the house or finding a way for you to have some time for yourself. Taking care of yourself is just as important as taking care of your family, so don't hesitate to speak up and ask for support. Am I the antagonist for asking to change cleaning habits in my apartment? I, a 28-year-old female, live with 2 roommates who are best friends with each other from college. I moved in here in an emergency after breaking up with my partner. The apartment has 3 floors, with a bedroom on each floor. We also have a private rooftop, and the bedrooms on the 1st and 2nd floor have their own balconies. I live on the 2nd floor with my cat and share a bathroom with the roommate on the 1st floor. Let's call her Drew. The roommate on the 3rd floor, let's call her Jennifer, has her own bathroom and direct access to the private rooftop. The kitchen is small and we don't have a dishwasher. Specifically, my roommates, especially Drew, don't seem to have the same mindset when it comes to cleaning dishes. They don't clean them on the same night, or at least rinse them out. If they cook, they will leave all their dishes in the sink. If I happen to leave a pot soaking and they cook afterwards, my dishes get buried underneath. They also tend not to rinse out their food, so I have to reach my hand inside to get to my dishes, which grosses me out. Alternatively, I end up doing everyone's dishes in the sink. It usually takes them 2-3 days to do the dishes, or they do it when they're off from work on their weekends. Just last week, there was a dish with lasagna remnants next to the sink for 3 days, and it started to smell. Both Drew and Jennifer are deathly afraid of bugs, and we have had roaches before. Because I have a cat and don't want her exposed to harsh chemicals, I frequently wipe down crumbs and counters. However, Drew often leaves her food bowls with food in them, either in her room or in the common room space for a day or 2 before finally putting them next to the sink, which adds to the pile of dirty dishes. Up until now, I've mostly gone along with their way of doing things, especially since Drew had a tough year after her grandfather passed away, and she was unemployed for a few months. However, I have reached a point where I can't handle it anymore. I texted them asking if we could try doing a little bit of dishes every day, and if we could commit to wiping down counters since Drew left them covered after cooking one night. It seemed like a simple request, but Drew said no, claiming she's often too tired after work to commit to doing that every day. Both roommates jumped in to say they had never seen me do all the dishes. I only do my own and occasionally a few of theirs as a courtesy, so it was unfair of me to bring up the issue of cleaning. I frequently take out the kitchen trash and the recycling every 3 days, and Drew has only taken out the trash in the shared bathroom once, often cramming her used pads on top if the rest of the trash is full. Asking for change felt like an attack to them, and I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong for only washing my own dishes and not taking care of the entire sink. They're also confused as to why I'm bringing it up now and not earlier, which is causing tension between us. So, am I the asshole? It sounds like you've been considerate and helpful with the household chores, and it's not unreasonable to ask for a bit of cleanliness and cooperation. Their reluctance to even make small changes and their defensiveness seems unfair, especially when you've been accommodating and understanding. It's important to have a respectful and clean living environment, so don't feel guilty for speaking up about it. Am I blowing things out of proportion with my GF? We have been together since 2018, but have been in a long-distance relationship since 2021 due to our careers. We only get to see each other a few times a year. Last year was not a good year for us. In the fall, she graduated from a program and started college to further her education in the medical field. I decided to surprise her and went to her college campus. However, she never showed up for her classes, and when she finally called me back, she yelled at me for contacting her during class. I explained that I was on her campus to surprise her, but she was already on her way home and we had to meet up later. During that time, we had been fighting a lot, and I hoped the surprise visit would bring us closer. However, she was distant the entire time I was there and didn't show any affection. Fast forward to this holiday season, we couldn't see each other due to work and family obligations. Our communication had dwindled, so I scheduled a trip for us right after the holidays, covering all expenses. The trip turned out to be the worst ever. Flights were delayed and canceled, and I arrived 36 hours late while she arrived 72 hours late. My bags were damaged, and hers got lost. The weather conditions were terrible, canceling most of our planned activities. Despite having time together, we never slept together as she claimed my snoring kept her awake. She even slept on the couch every night. She showed no affection and didn't want me to touch her, except during the massage I gave her. The night before we flew back home, she told me I had gained too much weight and that she no longer found me attractive. I was crushed, as I had only gained 18 pounds and had not gone up in clothing size. However, she was 50 pounds over her normal weight, and I never mentioned it or stopped finding her attractive. When we got back home, I expressed my heartbreak, but she dismissed it, telling me to make changes for next time. I lost trust and security in our relationship, but she called me childish and insecure. She said she doesn't have to force herself to be intimate with someone she isn't attracted to. I am now unsure about our relationship. There has been no affection between us for months, and I don't feel comfortable with her anymore. I feel like my feelings don't matter to her, and this is not how you communicate love. Wow, that sounds like a really tough situation, and I'm sorry you're going through this. It's understandable that you feel hurt and unappreciated when your girlfriend made those comments about your weight and attractiveness. Communication and affection are vital in any relationship, and it doesn't seem like you're getting much of either. It might be worth having an open and honest conversation with her about how her actions and words have made you feel, and see if you can both work on rebuilding trust and creating a more loving, supportive dynamic. DNA confirmed that I had daughter. What now? Yeah, I feel just as you would imagine, but it gets worse. She lives in the United States, I'm in Europe. I don't know how to do this and really need advice. So what happened is that months ago, I got a call from a United States number. I didn't answer since I don't know anyone there. Then again the same day, so I answered ready to yell at some scammer. A girl on the other side introduces herself and just says that she thinks I might be her father. That was the first thing she said. Hi, my name is Jane, and I think you might be my father. Obviously, I told her I don't have any children, and that she has the wrong number. But then she drops a name I haven't heard in, you guessed it, 18 years. Back around that time, I was in the United States for a year on a job exchange with our sister company. I met a woman there and we hooked up over maybe a few months. I remember buying condoms after meeting her, but I can't remember if we used them every time. Anyway, I gave her my non-United States number, but never heard from her again. The girl on the phone asks me if my name is Op, and I freak out and almost hang up on her. She tells me more about her mother, and I just sit there like an idiot. She found my name and number in her mother's diary, and now that she turned 18, she wanted to contact me. She lives with her relatives now since her mother is unable to take care of herself for some reason. I still don't know the details there. She asks me if I'd be willing to do an ancestry DNA test and even offered to pay for it. She ends by saying I should think about it and asks if she can call me again. I just say sure and we hang up. I swear I was about to faint right there and then. The whole conversation lasted only around 5 minutes. I end up taking the test, and we talk a few more times. The test took forever, but yesterday she sent me a screenshot of her profile matching 50% to mine. I mean, that's just it, right? We haven't spoken since, just messaged some. I lied and told her I've been busy and we'll talk later, which now makes me feel like an ass. Up until this point, I've kept it together, holding on to the thought that I'm probably not the dad, but now I can't deny it. It's probably been half my life since I last cried. I haven't told anyone this. I was kind of hoping the DNA test would come back negative so I wouldn't have to. How do I even break this to my family? I just know they'll all want her number so they can call her, and then they would start flying over to see her or bringing her here. They're really pushy like that. My mom is going to freak out. I don't see my family more than a few times a year, but we'll all get together during Easter. Should I do it then with all of them at once or one at a time? I have a picture of Jane, but not much more info than what I've written here. I'm the youngest sibling, and now I suddenly have the oldest of the cousins in the next generation, and I never wanted kids at all. I just don't like them and hate being tied up. I even had a vasectomy since then, and that's the easy part. The real problem is what to say to Jane. Can someone give an example of what to say? I've promised to call her tomorrow. Has anyone discovered they have an unknown child? If so, what did you do? How did it go? How did you connect? What happened when you met for the first time? What did your family say? I'm a bit embarrassed by this, but is there any risk of me having to pay child support retroactively? I can probably afford it, but I don't really want to. Wow, that's a crazy situation and definitely not something you'd expect to happen. It must be quite overwhelming to suddenly find out about a child you didn't know existed. As for breaking the news to your family, I think it would be best to have individual conversations with them first, rather than doing it all at once during Easter. That way you can gauge their reactions and handle it more sensitively. As for what to say to Jane, just be honest and open about your thoughts and feelings, and try to have a conversation to figure out what kind of relationship you both want moving forward. Good luck, man. Am I the antagonist for not shoveling my neighbor's driveway and refusing to help them get their car unstuck after they told me I should be nicer? I am a 27-year-old male living in a duplex with my fiancé. Both houses have a garage, but my neighbors still park their cars in the shared driveway. Despite not hating my neighbors, we keep to ourselves, but I have made attempts to be friendly and neighborly. I have invited them to cookouts, offered help with yard work, and even brought them their packages that were mistakenly left at my door. However, none of my gestures seem to be appreciated, as I never receive a simple thank you from them. Recently, we experienced heavy snowfall due to the cold snap affecting a large part of the US. After shoveling my side of the driveway, I decided to be kind and shovel and salt my neighbor's side as well. Despite waving at them when I saw them returning home, I once again received no acknowledgement or gratitude. The following day, we had another significant snowstorm. Since I didn't have time to shovel before work, I planned to do it when I got back. However, when I arrived home, I noticed that my neighbors had cleared their side of the driveway, while mine was left untouched and covered in a mound of snow and ice. I also spotted a snowblower left outside in front of their garage. Although I felt frustrated, I chose not to confront them since I would have used it too, but it appeared as if they had deliberately neglected my side of the driveway, leaving me to dig through the frozen mess. Today we faced yet another snowstorm. Fortunately, it was my day off, so before my fiancé had to leave for work, I tirelessly shoveled my side of the driveway. An hour into the exhausting task, I heard a knock on my door. It was my neighbors, both looking irritated and cold. The man requested my help since their car, which was parked the furthest down the driveway, was stuck. I debated whether to laugh it off and close the door, but instead, I decided to go help them and prepared to shovel once again. As soon as I stepped outside, the man immediately started berating me, questioning why I hadn't shoveled their side of the driveway earlier. The woman who was in the car began yelling at me, blaming me for her partner's potential lateness to work because I hadn't cleared the snow behind their car. In frustration, I mentioned the snowblower I had observed. However, the man dismissed the idea, claiming he couldn't afford to purchase gas for it due to its high price. I then offered him the gas I had in my garage, pointing out that there was plenty for him to use. Nevertheless, he insisted there was no time and that I simply needed to be nicer. At this point, I retrieved my shovel from the garage, handed it to the man, and returned to the warmth of my home. They were still yelling at me even after I had gone inside, and later, I found my shovel thrown into the yard. Eventually, they managed to free their car. Am I the one at fault here? It sounds like you've been trying to be a good neighbor, going above and beyond to help them out, yet they never show any appreciation. It's frustrating and inconsiderate for them to constantly park in the shared driveway and not even bother to clear their side of the snow. They're definitely the ones in the wrong here. I love my husband, but when he does or says something dumb, it irritates me so much, I get really angry. How can I remain calm and respectful? I understand the importance of kindness and respect in a happy marriage, and I am striving to be the patient and loving partner my husband deserves. He is a wonderful and gentle man, and we have a lot of fun together. We share important values and political opinions, and he is a dedicated father who works hard to provide for our family. However, I sometimes feel resentment towards him, which can cause me to snap or say mean things when I am tired and stressed. Some of this resentment stems from the fact that I had to give up my job and become a full-time stay-at-home mom because he was unable to fulfill his share of the household responsibilities and childcare. While he excels at his job, he is disorganized and helpless with these tasks when I am not around to guide him. He found these responsibilities too overwhelming and asked me to stay at home, which I agreed to. However, now he only helps occasionally, and I am disappointed by his incompetence. It baffles me how a smart man like him struggles with simple tasks like grocery shopping. He epitomizes the stereotypical gender role in this regard, which frustrates me because I have no problem learning practical skills. For example, he repeatedly puts pans that need to be hand-cleaned in the dishwasher, causing them to become damaged and unusable. He often forgets items on a shopping list or brings back the wrong things. When he finds a chili too spicy, he puts it in the freezer, thinking the spiciness will settle at the bottom. He forgets doctor appointments even though he sets reminders on his phone. When leaving the house with our youngest child, he frequently forgets essential items such as a hat or allergy medicine. He also forgets to feed the pets or administer medication to our oldest child. Even when our kids ask for help with basic homework, he refuses because he claims he doesn't know the subject matter, even if it is easy to find the answers online. While some may perceive him as lazy, I don't believe that to be the case. In fact, he often invests more effort into doing things the wrong way than the right way. He is willing to help when given detailed step-by-step instructions. These behaviors used to frustrate me immensely because they added stress to my day and increased my workload. However, since quitting my job, these issues have become less of a problem. However, I also find myself getting angry over things that do not directly impact my life, such as his lack of basic knowledge. He frequently mispronounces words, lacks geographical knowledge, e.g., not knowing where India is on a world map, and holds naive beliefs like thinking a football club is named after their favorite food. His general knowledge of subjects like history, art, and biology is also limited. It is perplexing to me that he does not apply his intelligence and ability to learn to other areas. My parents, who were both teachers, instilled in me a strong value for education and intellect. They were disappointed when I lacked knowledge and encouraged me to never stop learning. Their high expectations and pressure have created some resentment within me. Perhaps, in a twisted way, I am projecting some of that onto my husband. Maybe I envy him because I feel that I cannot be ignorant or make mistakes without experiencing shame, while he seems completely unaffected by such feelings. He often laughs off his errors and attributes them to being dropped on his head as a child or previous drug use. When he says or does something that I perceive as unintelligent, anger wells up inside me. I either need to distance myself and calm down, although this only postpones the issue, or I may speak in a tone or say something hurtful that I later regret. Sometimes I simply roll my eyes or shake my head. Other times I may call him a baby or accuse him of feigning stupidity to avoid responsibilities, even though I know this is not the case. I am filled with self-loathing for being mean and for feeling this anger. How can I address this issue without suppressing my negative emotions? I don't want my husband to feel bad about himself, and I don't want this to damage our relationship. I totally understand where you're coming from. It can be really frustrating when your partner seems so capable in one area but struggles in others. It's important to remember that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and it doesn't make them any less intelligent or valuable. Maybe try having a calm and honest conversation with your husband about how his actions sometimes make you feel overwhelmed, and see if you can find a solution together that works for both of you. It's definitely possible to address your negative feelings without resorting to mean comments or bottling it up, and open communication is key. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.